Hey everyone, welcome to the Cripescast. I'm your host, Charlie Behrens. This week we're talking with my buddy, Derek Hoppe. He is a garbage man in the city of Milwaukee. It is National Public Works Week, so we are shouting out one of our great public workers. And, you never know how much you appreciate your garbage man until your garbage is no longer with you, And I got to go on a ride along with Derek. It was super fun. We actually have First Time Garbage Man, the video coming out this week too, so check it out. And it being National Public Works Week, if you go to milwaukee.gov/jobs, you can check out all the jobs they have available. Great benefits. You get a lot of time outside, and they do a heck of a job for the community. So shout out to all of the people working our public works. And final reminder, guys, or I guess second to final reminder, we are going to take a break from the Cripescast for the summer. I think we have about 1 week left, one podcast left. And then we'll come back in full force in the fall, but want to let you know that's coming up. And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here is my conversation with your garbage man and mine, Mr. Derek Hoppe. Derek Hoppe, ladies and gentlemen. Derek, we've known each other since high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
been a long while.
Yeah.
What's that been? Almost. We don't need to do math.
Hold on. I kind of want to do the math. At least 20 years, give or take.
Yeah, 20 some.
Yeah.
20 and
21.
some.
Yeah. Yep.
That's wild. Yeah, we were just talking today, folks. If you don't know Derek and I, well, you probably don't know because this video probably hasn't come out yet. We did First Time Garbage Man, where I was your apprentice.
Yes.
Yeah. And we were talking as we were driving in the garbage truck, we were saying we passed a car that had collector's plates on it. I was like, geez, I remember when that car was new.
That was a car you drove in high school.
Yeah.
Pretty much and you only got it for like a grand and it ran.
Right.
Like that.
Not a lot has changed.
Yes.
Including that car now has collector plates. But
yeah, that's
something that, not everybody you get to a certain age, you appreciate that.
Yeah.
We're at that age.
Yeah.
It's good. So Derek, what my first question, we kind of start off all Cripescast like this is like, what makes, what it's like a Cripe sesh. What makes you say Cripes?
So with the job, I think a lot of it, like it's a very physical job and it's getting used to the grind.
Oh yeah.
And there's things definitely, the residents can do to make our job easier because we're collecting, 700, maybe 800 houses. And, between not tying bags and stuff like that, everything just kind of adds time on. It's weird. You get in the zone with this job. I think it's funny because I've kind of found myself to be like a creature of habit. And it's a good job for that. And OCD, just kind of cleaning stuff up as I go. But making sure the bags are tied, making sure stuff's set out neatly to just keep us moving. Otherwise we can get bogged down. And you kind of saw like with the morning, with the rain and stuff, everything kind of just compounds on itself. And, you just kind of got to be mentally tough to go in and do it for, 6-7 hours.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, we did for like an hour maybe.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of stuff started making more sense.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think about it, but like tying the bags right. Because as soon as the bag goes, then it's flying all over the place.
Yeah.
And you get, you see all like, you see sometimes there's a bunch of garbage all over the street or whatever. And if it's windy like it is today and the bags aren't tied, well, then all of a sudden you got a trash tornado.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about it either.
Yeah. Well, and I this was years ago. So I've been collecting garbage for like 10 plus years. And I worked with an old timer when I first started. And that was his like saying was like, yeah, it's a windy day. You know what that means? That's the garbage man's broom. Like that was his, that was his line. But, it just, I think a lot of it is just, you get used to just kind of being in the zone and kind of just knocking the day out. And it's kind of nice. There's a certain amount of, well, I know it's the Cripes portion, but I was going to say, it's a very like, if once you get in the mindset, it's kind of a Zen job where you have what your day's task is in front of you. You got your map, and it's like, okay, I can, think about my day. I can keep going. You're getting paid to exercise. For the most part, there aren't a lot of bad days.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was fun today. I mean, because like you see some stuff.
Oh,
you see some stuff out there.
Yeah,
you see
the knife.
Yeah,
and that was just in there.
Yeah,
like,
there was a pocket knife just sitting. We put a bunch of garbage cans in, and then I was looking at the thing, and there was just a buck knife just sitting there in the deal, and I was like, "So Derek, can we go in after that?" And he said, "No, yeah, it's in the no-go zone.
Yeah.
Once it's in the track compacting area,
that's that.
Yeah,
that's all she wrote.
Yeah, that's a circle of life.
Yeah."
Yeah, so but you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing you've seen collecting garbage?
Whew. I mean, it all depends. There's times we get a fair amount between like rats, squirrels, possums making homes in it. And, again, you're dumping so many carts, you're kind of just a little zoned out. And next thing you know, like I've had a squirrel run off my shoulder. I've had
some wildlife.
Wildlife. Yeah. It's every bit of nature. Like,
thank God they got out.
Yeah.
Because you pull them from the jaws of life after that. That compactor gets in there. It takes no prisoners.
No. And, I mean, one of the times, and you try to like, I believe in a little bit of karma. So yeah, it's like, like a possum. It's like, oh, this animal's doing some good. So I ended up kind of getting it by the tail and scooting it out because, you don't want to.
No, last thing you want to do is, that's not a way for even a possum to go out.
No.
That's good. Yeah, you're an environmentalist and a garbage man.
Yes.
At the end of the day. Well, that's cool. I didn't see any animals come out of the trash that we put in there today, but we only did two city blocks. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of the environmental side of it, I'm always fascinated with like the stuff you can throw out and can't throw out. What are some like no-go things? Like I know lithium batteries, right? That I know because that you can't even take those on a plane because they spontaneously combust somehow.
Yeah, and I'd say but you can see it on the news. I mean, for as long as I've been doing it, I think I've had 3, maybe 4 fires in a truck that I've been working on just from that. Cell phone batteries, laptop. Mostly it was cell phone batteries, laptop batteries, and then one time it was like a 18-volt drill battery. But it's always kind of the batteries.
Yeah,
and yeah, they it's funny because it's like you even can try to put it out with water, but they just get so hot the water kind of sizzles off. Like you could douse it in water, and if it catches on something dry, it'll go right back up.
Really?
Yeah. They definitely go on YouTube. There's some pretty gnarly videos of just how quickly that fire can happen.
Yeah, I'm sure people throw those things away all the time because how's anyone gonna know? If they're not paying attention, what do they think they do with it?
Exactly. And and sometimes too, it's in the packaging. Like, they might throw a recycling symbol on it, telling someone it's recyclable. But, you look at that and you're like, all right, I'll throw it in the cart. Like it's just kind of, I mean, the same thing with styrofoam. A lot of that stuff gets stamped with recycling logos, but, unless you're like sending it to where it's specially recycled, if it's going to the recycling plant, it's probably going to get tossed because they don't deal in recycling styrofoam.
Yeah, that's kind of like what do they call it? They're like a greenwashing thing,
yes.
Where the company's like, oh, well, just put a recycling thing on it. People care
Let
less.
them figure it out.
And it works,
Yeah.
But then what you get is all these people just throwing styrofoam and like certain cups and stuff and even straws into the recycling thing. And all that just kind of gums up the works. And then like, do you do the recycling side too, or just?
I've done recycling, yeah.
So isn't it true that if like let's say you put the recycling all in like a plastic bag, and then that bag kind of gums up the works? Isn't that true?
Bags can, all the sorting equipment, it's all run by conveyor belts and gears and such, and yeah, that'll knock a plant offline for an hour or two when they got to go in and kind of just remove all that buildup.
Wow.
So. Yeah, it's anything. It's funny. That same thing goes like we'll have people that'll try to recycle paint, just latex paint, because I don't know why, but they'll throw a couple cans of paint in the garbage or in the recycling. And, the same thing, that anything between that motor oil, anything that then touches, that'll contaminate a whole load of recycling. So everyone could be recycling correctly. And then all it takes is a couple quarts of oil or a couple gallons of paint and it's shot.
Wow.
And that's something that kind of can get overlooked from time to time too.
Yeah, because I could see it being like, okay, the actual can itself, that can be recycled because that's made out of tin or something, so you're like, okay, this can go. But then if it's got a little paint in it, that'll screw up a whole batch, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm really interested in it, though. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this. Yeah. Okay.
The guidelines.
Yeah. No scrap metal, no plastic bags, no batteries, no garbage, no tanglers like hoses, wires, or chains.
People love to throw hoses in for some reason. We get a lot of like garden hoses.
Really?
That we got to pull out. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. What are the most tried to recycle things that just don't get, that's a no-go? Like what's the most common ones?
I would say garden hoses, and then like big bulky plastic items like children's toys or anything where you're like, well, it's plastic. Like put it in there, see what happens.
Yeah.
It just why
like
not?
You get a big Barbie house in there sometimes.
Yeah, stuff like that.
What does happen if you put a Barbie house in there?
It gets crushed up, and then again, it's that goes eventually. It's going to be on a plastic line where stuff's getting sorted, and they're going to have to. All that stuff will go in the reject pile, and then it's off to the landfill.
Yeah.
So
that's wild. So you just cut to the chase and then do it. And scrap metal. Yeah. I mean, so like, let's say you got like you got sort of a bed frame and you pull out the, or a mattress and you pull out the springs or whatever. Mm-hmm. That can't be recycled either, huh? You got to probably take that in specifically.
Drop off center, or if scrappers will come and pick it up. I know they like Facebook Marketplace.
Oh yeah,
Craigslist, stuff like that. There's people that will come pick up scrap metal for you.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
But a lot. And actually, now that you mention it, yeah, a lot of on the scrap metal side, we get a lot of car parts, brake rotors, shocks, stuff like that. And a brake rotor will rip the hopper when it's compacting. That'll rip the hopper right open, and then that's a couple $1,000s to repair that, welding and sheet metal and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's it is pretty wild of like of how many things like can just screw up so many. Mm-hmm. So like so many people can be doing it right, and one person meaning to do well but not realizing it can just screw the whole thing up. So no car parts, huh?
No car parts.
Okay. But no clothing. Can't do that either.
Another thing on the garbage side, it's amazing how much clothes people throw away. You'll dump carts of clothes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of a bummer. It's like, I'm a big recycler and, donate my stuff, but there's times it's just amazing the amount of stuff people will go through on it. And if you're on the same route, you're coming by week after week, and it's like you're throwing bags of clothes and bags of other stuff, and it's just I don't know. I like
just take it to the Goodwill kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. Let's kind of get back to how you started. When did you decide you were going to be a garbage man?
That was actually something. So I was one of the little kids that would sit outside and watch the garbage man.
You were that guy?
Yeah, I was that guy.
Wow.
So it's kind of been something I wanted to do since I was a kid.
Childhood dream.
Yeah. And I saw it through.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did, man.
So, but it's cool. Like, I don't know. There's just a certain amount of, I like being out, there's a lot of like things when you look like surveys and such, where it's like, there's people that say like, oh, I want a job that, I feel like I'm doing something, or I want, and this is something where, the proof is in the work you're doing, where you can see like, as you're going by alley, you're making stuff look better. You're getting rid of clutter. Same thing if in the winter we're plowing snow, and it's like you slowly get to see the streets look better.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's Wisconsin weather, and it's like nothing's worse than putting in like 8-10 hours plowing snow just to have like another snow band come in and like erase it. It's the most defeating feeling in the world sometimes, where you're just like, oh, perfect. Back to square one, you know? But we got to keep everything open. So you just keep going, you plug away at it.
Got it. So you've been doing the DPW, and you're in Milwaukee right now.
Yes.
And then before that, you were in Greendale or West Dallas?
Greendale and West Dallas I've worked for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
A couple other municipalities. Yeah.
And you've done all sorts of stuff like, so snowplow, you've done garbage removal. What else have you done?
Sewer and water. So anything like installing water meters, water main repair, sewer backups, stuff like that. I've helped out with forestry. So yeah, kind of a little bit of everything.
Wow. You're like a you name it, I've done it kind of a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As far as snow removal goes, like, is that part of the garbage job?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Most of your plow drivers are sanitation drivers.
No kidding.
And there's also like rotating in workers from streets, sewers, forestry. They fill in, but like, it's not uncommon to have to go pull trash for, 7-8 hours in the snow. And then we're in a plow truck right after that.
Holy smokes.
Working another, shift in that.
Yeah. You guys really help make the whole thing go around.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's something to be said about that. Cause sometimes people get frustrated or impatient, but it's like, yeah, we're out there kind of doing everything, and sometimes it just, the key is it takes time. You know?
Yeah.
And
just give you guys time.
And we're a very instant society. I can look at my phone and, hey, the snow just is out of here. Why is this, why do the streets still look like this? It's like every plow truck's doing a certain amount of miles. That guy might have been doing garbage before that. Like, his plow truck could break down. There's just everything kind of like the same thing you were saying with like recycling, like in a snow event, things can kind of compound on itself.
Yeah.
And it's just time. The salt, even salt to melt snow takes time. You see the salter come by and that it might take a couple hours to see the results of that salt,
That is true though. Cause we're in like a very, as you said, an immediate society. I want this done now. And if it's not done, it must be that someone's doing a bad job, not just things in life sort of take time. Right.
Yes.
Is that frustrating? Do you get a lot of people come up complaining to you saying like, why didn't you guys do this or that?
You do get a fair amount of negative feedback. I guess I would call that, but not, honestly, I'd say I get more positive by far. Like residents that say, give you a thumbs up or tell you you're doing a good job. And that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
It's especially if you're in for 12, 16 hours, it's good to get a thumbs up to let, cause they're just seeing you do theirs, they're watching you plow their street, but on a route, you might plow 25, 30 streets, so it's like, it's just, it's good to get some good feedback.
Yeah. You get a couple thumbs up that pays for the guy who gave you,
piece of his mind.
Yeah. Or piece of his finger up or something like that.
Exactly.
What's kind of, what's been the weirdest interaction you've had with someone?
I would say there's sometimes where people just take it personal. Like ultimately our goal is to try to widen the street as much as possible for emergency vehicles, for parking, for things like that. And, they might have took the time to shovel their driveway out and all of a sudden they see you. And it's like, to do a street curb to curb, you might do 5-6 passes, but they see you come by once and they're already starting to shovel and you come by again. And then by like time 3 or 4, they're waving you down like, hey, like, I'm sick of you driving by, ruining, I'm trying to show. And it's like, sir, this whole thing has to get opened up. Like, again, it's time.
Right.
If you can be out here shoveling, well, but it's no matter what, I have to get the street plowed curb to curb.
Yeah.
That's what we're directed to do.
Yeah.
So, it's just kind of a bit of practicing futility if you're going to try to combat that, but the snow's got to go somewhere.
Yeah. I think too, people just, everyone's got a control thing, and everyone's like, everyone loves to sort of shit on the local government or whatever, wherever they are, it's kind of like a thing people like to do sometimes. You see it. And especially though, if because I've also been the guy out there plowing and then it gets done. And I've thought the same thing. I'm like, God, now I got to go out there and do it again,
Yep. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, when you're walking across the street and there's a car that kind of is coming your way, and you're like, I'm walking here.
Yeah.
And then when you're driving, you're like, I'm driving here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you're Yoda, you're like, drive, here I am, or however Yoda talks,
Yeah.
something like that. It's just human nature, probably largely. Yeah. But if people hear the other side of it, I think it helps it all come together.
Yeah.
So you talk about it kind of being like a meditative state there.
Yeah.
What's that like when you get in your zone?
I think what's amazing is, especially with plowing snow, climbing into the truck, I'll say it's like going into a time machine, because it's like once you get going, the amount of focus it takes where you're watching traffic, you're making sure you're not tearing up lawns, or sometimes there's low hanging branches, especially with freezing rain or something like that. So it's like you're so like focused that all of a sudden you look at your watch and it's like, it's been 2 hours. And then, okay, I got to do, oh man, it's already like, 5 o'clock at night. Like I'm out of here at 9 o'clock or something, next thing you know, it's like, oh, the shift's over. Like, and it's like, that was 12 hours of time and it just goes by in a flash. Cause at the time, it just takes a lot of concentration for what you're doing and to do it safely.
Yeah.
So,
So kind of you're out there, you're outside getting fresh air in the zone. And then before you know it, it's all over.
Yeah. And the same thing, collecting trash. I mean, sometimes you get your days with, we had a little bit of rain this morning, working. I've been in days where it's like a downpour for 6-7 hours. And at that point you just kind of like, that's how the day is going to go. Like, and you just have to be all right with it. Cause we don't just like, all right, we'll come back and try to do it tomorrow. Like, no, it's what you have to get done is there. So you got to get it done, and it could be negative wind chills. It could be pouring rain. It could be 100 degrees, we're still out there and you just got to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things too that, like if you told me this the other day of like, if you're doing drywall or whatever, and you get a bunch of dust in there, and you empty that out and then you're just kind of getting caked with dust yourself.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, aside for the bags things, what are like, and that to wrap that point up is like, so if you're going to do drywall or whatever, get it all in a bag. So it's not just spraying your garbage bin.
Yeah. Contain it. If it's a sizable amount, take it to the dump. Like you can always just take it to the dump and make it easier. Cause sometimes those carts, if someone's trying to fill up a whole cart of drywall, you might not even be able to move that cart, and then they might get frustrated because, their garbage got skipped, and it's like, try, you threw some onto the back of the truck and moving around. I mean, if that thing's a couple 100 pounds, they're not easy to like move around and, kind of finagle onto the truck.
Yeah. Right. No, it's got that sort of, even when I was putting it on, and you kind of, I didn't even know that's why the back of the garbage can looked the way it did. So it could the machine would grab it and throw it in, but, so you kind of just start looking at things a little bit differently.
Sure.
When you're out there doing it or whatever.
And especially it's funny with like new people, because it's like, it almost gets hard to train new people because after a while, it's just muscle memory and you can just keep going. And then you work with like that, where it's like, oh, put the cart, it's like, oh no, you got to the other way. And in your head, you're like, but it is, it takes a bit to like, you can slowly kind of build up the speed you're working with to, cause it's funny with that, with collecting garbage or anything like that. It's just time. Like I've worked with guys that can look at their watch and they'll know, all right, we're 4 minutes behind right now, and we were an hour into the day, and they can you get so like, just set into it where you just know where you should be. You should, how long each thing should take. Like you just get your day, like down like a Swiss watch, it's different.
Yeah.
I don't know if the way I'm describing it, I don't know if that sounds like good or bad, but it's a fun job. Cause it's just, I don't know. It's nice just going and just get it done.
All right. Yeah, no, 100%. Driving the truck's kind of fun. I didn't know that every garbage truck had 2 steering wheels in it.
Some of them don't. Primarily, though, all the residential trucks do. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're now that you're mentioning that, like sometimes with people that, just start doing it, like, and you're driving and all of a sudden, they're tired from a day of work and they just go lean on the wheel to like rest. And you're like, hold on, man. Like, oh no, I'm driving. Like you got to get off the wheel,
Right.
like it's just, it takes a lot to be able to learn how to drive from the right side. And like, cause you're constantly, each when we were doing those fronts, and you were riding on the back, it's just, you almost have to get just in the habit of like blind spot. I'm watching you blinds, and you have to do it because the one time you're not going to look is the time there's going to be a car parked right next to you and you're just going to, you know what I mean? It's so easy to like get in the routine, but then for safety, you can't, you also have to like always be mindful of like what's going on around you.
Yeah. Well, you've lived in Milwaukee for your whole life, right?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
What do you like about Milwaukee? What's the reason you've stayed here and kept doing it?
Just for the city, it's a city with a lot of personality, and the residents, I generally are, I've worked in areas all over the city. Everyone's, come out, say hi to you, say good morning. Like people are generally pretty nice. And just as a city, there's a lot going on, but it's funny because there's almost 600,000 people in the city, but the ability to just run into people, oh yeah, how's it going? You just recognize people, and it's very funny to, they always call it small Milwaukee, but it's so true. Like just on any given day, the people you run into or say hi to, and somehow amongst all like, the bustle of the day, you're still running into people, and saying hi and stuff like that. So it's that, so that's what I kind of like. I just feel like it's a big city, but it can always kind of feel like home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite bar in Milwaukee?
Ooh, that would be, I gotta watch. Yeah.
No. You're trying not to offend anyone right now.
Yeah.
You can have a few honorable mentions.
Okay.
That may make it even worse though.
Yeah.
Because now it's who didn't you mention?
Yeah. I'm kind of over in Bayview. So like a handful of like, just kind of local neighborhood bars that are owned by, all the Bayviewians, Newport, Garibaldi, Puddlers, kind of that. It's more so the vibe. And I kind of laugh because as you get older, I think, when you're in your 20s, it was like, you went out to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, you get to know bartenders and it's like, I got to go see, Paul, he's working tonight, or I got to go see, it's kind of a change in the rotation where you just eventually have people you go to see, so.
I just like the setup, in your 20s, you go out to have fun. But in your 30s,
yeah,
you just got a guy you gotta go see.
Yeah, you gotta socialize, get caught up, see the regulars. Like, it's less about like just going out and
Do you have like regulars you see
on the routes or?
Just at the bars or whatever.
Yeah,
like you got a favorite bartender? See, now I'm really asking you to do it here.
I don't know if I could. Yeah, that might be. That's like
well, I'm asking the tough questions here, Derek, and if you can't, handle the heat.
In Bayview, I'd say like there's one guy, PK. He's probably he's old. He's been bartending for a while, and he's always got a good joke lined up, and he's a cool guy.
Which bar is he at?
A couple of them, but mainly Newport, Creeds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real good. Yeah, but he'll just sit there and he'll hit you with like just a classic joke.
Classic joke, yeah.
Can you remember any of them?
I don't know. Most of them I probably couldn't.
You kind of don't want to retell his joke.
Yeah.
One of those things where you kind of have to be there.
Yeah. So that's what I would encourage you to go check it out.
Okay,
that's the hook.
Yeah.
But it's I'd say. That's another thing, like even in Milwaukee is, you get to know, you live in a neighborhood for a while and you get to kind of know everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice because you're the garbage man in town.
Yeah.
And you not only see people in your neighborhood, but you see them on your routes. Do you get to know people on your routes?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's residents. When I worked, I was a fill-in Bayview, and we had one lady every week, cookies. She baked us cookies.
Really?
So we'd have bags of cookies for us. Just stuff like that. Always, hey, good morning. How's it going? It just, some people, it's like you're a part of their week.
Yeah.
So they're waiting for you to say hi or good morning. Or
she just came out though with a bag of cookies.
Yeah.
Is this like an every week?
Every week.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many cookies were in that bag?
Probably like 3 or 4.
Three.
But I mean, like a good. Well, and it was always. Now this one's for the laborer. This one's for the driver. Like, it was very like, don't you dare try to take both of them. Like, she made it very clear, like, these are the share.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I have one bag for each. Like,
did she like give it direct? Is it like when you leave a tip you want to make sure that waiter gets it specifically?
Yeah.
Did she take it over to the?
No, she was elderly. So it was kind of always at the door. But like, yeah, it was just always made sure you knew, like, all right, this one's for the labor, this one's for you.
Oh,
like,
man, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember her name?
No, actually. It's funny. Like, I'm actually terrible with names, but no.
Yeah.
But it's funny because it would be, you could talk to any driver who's been on like in that area or on those routes, and it's like, oh, the cookie lady.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yeah.
She's the cookie lady.
Yeah. Like,
Nice. What other nice things do people do?
When it's hot out, residents bring us water, bring us Gatorades. I had one lady, and it was funny. She came out with like a bowl of grapes, and I was like, here you go. I'm like, well, okay. Like, I appreciate it, but yeah, just stuff like that, especially in the heat, it helps. Cause when we're out there, you're just getting, it's hot and it's humid, and, a water, a Gatorade is always kind of nice to, keep you going.
Yeah, definitely. Get you the electrolytes in and whatnot.
Yeah.
A few more questions about Milwaukee I had.
Yeah.
You kind of got sidetracked a little bit. That's half my fault, half your fault, What's your favorite bowling alley in Milwaukee?
Ooh. Well, I have to say now in Bayview Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
when
a good one.
Lived on the east side, it was Landmark Lanes.
So it's pretty much whatever bowling alley's closest to your
closest
house.
Bowling alley. Yes. And I go, and also like Landmark Lanes back in the day, like this was like like smoking ban.
Oh,
where
yeah.
It was like, you had to have like Landmark clothes, like, and that was just, if you were going to Landmark, let me look around. Okay. Yeah. This is because they would you smelled like an ashtray.
Yeah.
After being in there for a couple hours. And it was like, if it'd be closed, like they had these like floodlights come on, and it was just like, all of a sudden, all the lights would come on and be like, everyone out. And there'd just be this smoky haze. It was, you just had to be there. It was like, there isn't anything like that anymore.
No, not at all.
So yeah, I guess I finally remember Landmark for that time,
And like that's kind of like George Webb's. They used to let you smoke inside there at George Webb's.
Oh, 100%. I always laughed because my grandma on my dad's side was a smoker, and very much it wasn't until I was older where it was like, oh, Grandma picked where we were going to eat based on if they had a smoking section.
so it's exclusively George Webb's for a lot of time.
Yeah. Or just, like, I can't even remember some of the other ones because they used to, it wasn't very like, you weren't free from the smoke, but it would, for a while, it was like you came into the restaurant and one side was, smoking, non-smoking, or this and that. But it was like, once if it was a no smoking place, they were off the list. Like,
yeah. Nope, not anymore.
Yeah.
I love the smoking section though. Very scientific way to limit people's exposure to smoke.
Yeah. That it's not just
blow
airborne.
it in that direction. You know? That's great. So where do you want to kind of take the garbage situation? Where, like, do you see yourself like what first of all, what are the positions? Like, where do you go? You start off, you said the guy on the back of the truck thing I was doing, that's called the laborer. So
the laborer is still an equipment operator. When you start with the city, you're an equipment operator 1.
Okay.
And as you slowly learn other pieces of equipment, you become an equipment operator 2. And then beyond that, there's a promotional position that's more competitive to be an equipment operator 3. And then beyond that, there's also special equipment operators with the city. And that's, you're operating like a backhoe, a street sweeper, stuff like that, more stuff that takes like specialized training.
Yeah.
So you kind of, and it's nice because there's some places where, you go to a smaller municipality, they hire you for what they hire you for. And that's what you're going to do. Where here there's a lot of opportunities. Like, I've even worked with guys, I've even worked with equipment operators that have went on to be firefighters, cops for the city, electricians. It's kind of it's cool because there's opportunities for you within the department, but also when you're in the city, you can also transfer to other departments. So it's a cool job if you want to have a lot of opportunities for what you're looking to do.
Yeah. So like if someone's out there thinking like, hey, I kind of want to do this, how do you even get started in it? Where do you go?
First would be to get your CDL. And that's through the state. You can go
for people who don't know CDL,
commercial driver's license.
Okay.
Now recently used to be able to do like kind of a self-taught thing, and then you could take the road test and so on. But now you got to go to a tech school.
Okay.
So it costs more money now.
I like how it's like a self-taught thing for like a garbage truck.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
I was self-taught.
You were self-taught. You just kind of did it till you didn't hit anything.
Well, you'd study the manual, you'd go take the written test. You had to pay then because then you'd have it's kind of like a regular driver's license. There's a written test. Then there's a time where you're like a permitted, and then you go to a road test, and then you have your CDL.
Okay. Got it. So, but now there's a more formal process to get that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can't just be grandfathered in.
No. Well, and that was actually funny because the original CDLs back in the day, it was called a chauffeur's license. And those were basically like, you just had to show up,
pay the fee.
Yeah. And then you got a job and here's the keys.
Yeah.
God bless,
right.
So yeah, we've come a long way for, that kind of the knowledge and standards, from, the days of old.
Yeah.
But,
so you come in though, you get your CDL.
You come in, you get your CDL, you just keep an eye out. There's times where the city also hires for laborers. But that would be more streets and other departments. And there you can come in with just a permit. So if you pass the written test, and then they give you time and training to get your CDL. So you're kind of given like a grace period to get your to go through, passing the road test and so forth.
Yeah.
But then, just looking for open positions. For public works, and mainly labor, equipment operator. Yeah, there's a lot of like entry level, and then even once you're in labor and streets, sewers. For forestry, they have like a kind of an apprenticeship based position. Like there's different, there's all these inroads, and then once you're in public works, there's opportunities within there that are transfer positions. So those are positions that might not even be opened up on the website, but opened initially for employees.
Oh, nice. So what's the website, by the way?
It's the City of Milwaukee website, and then /jobs.
milwaukee.gov /jobs.
milwaukee.gov /jobs.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
You can even fill out like a job interest form, so they'll send you emails. You can call if there's a position that you can talk to the Department of Employee Relations. Like there's times they'll help fill out an application, stuff like that. You can call down for questions and so forth. They're very helpful.
Nice. Now you've worked for a number of other cities too.
Yeah.
And I know like with Milwaukee, you can't technically keep any of the stuff that you see out there, right?
Yeah.
But when you've worked for these other places.
Also, you can't keep it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, that's kind of the rule.
Yeah.
But
like if there was some interesting stuff out there that you would have wanted to keep.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff are we talking? What are people just throwing out?
One time I got a deer mount.
You got a deer mount?
Yeah.
What? How big of a rack was that?
Probably like a 12.
Really, 12-pointer?
10,
Someone was just
somewhere.
throwing it out?
Well, the wife said that that was his. He goes, the wife said, I got too many of these. I got to pick
Dude,
one that goes.
Was he just standing out there by the garbage
Yes,
when it was going,
yeah.
just crying? Did you see a little tear in his eyes?
But no, well, yeah, it was that. Yeah.
So he was like, hey, you guys want this? Because I just don't want to see it go through the trash compactor right now.
Correct. Yeah.
So we're just doing the Lord's work there.
Yeah.
So you got.
I didn't want the deer to go in vain, you know, like.
Right.
But yeah.
All right. So deer mount, that's pretty cool.
Deer mount, a lot of like beer memorabilia. There'd be times where people would throw it, you know, it'd be cleaning out the basement or something, and you'd find like the old bar tins and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The signs and everything.
Yeah.
What's the wildest thing you've ever heard someone find?
One time, it was elsewhere. People were counterfeiting money, and they were just throwing away counterfeit money.
Really?
The police might have got involved with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
which was weird when the like cart dumped and the money just kind of blew down the road, and we're like, what the, you know?
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah.
Did you have an inkling it was counterfeit at that point, or were you going out there collecting?
It was.
That's when God's broom does not help you out. You're like, give me that money back.
That was, it was one of those, like, you grabbed one and you looked and you're like, oh, this is the paper's way off.
Paper's off.
It was lazy.
Yeah.
But
Lazy job.
that you kind of remind me of another, and this was like a story that just from a couple guys that worked, because a lot of times, especially with like cleanouts, residential cleanouts and stuff, you'd have it where like grandma would hide money and stuff. And I remember talking with a couple of guys where they were at the landfill one time when a big dumpster container got dumped, and the bulldozer went to go like push it out, and a dresser broke apart, and there was a couple grand just like blowing across the landfill.
Really?
From the wind. Yeah. Cause someone was, you know, that's where they squirreled away their money.
Yeah.
And no one knew about it.
Oh man.
You know, so I've said that with guys I've worked with where it's like, man, I wonder how much money through this time we've probably just pitched, like, you know, for people like forgetting, you know, to clean something out or this and that. Like,
there's,
you know, it's
always money in the banana stand.
Yeah. There's all, yeah. Yep.
Wow. Yeah. That's kind of wild. So, and that brings up another good point. Like once all this stuff is picked up, you know, what do you do with it? Like I didn't get to that part of the job. Yeah. Once you got full dumpster.
We got we got a transfer station kind of up near the drop-off center off Lincoln. And then it just gets they got like a giant compactor, so it gets crushed again into transfer trailers, and they truck it out to like a couple different landfills in the area, and it gets buried.
Wow. So that's a whole other dude's job.
Yeah. Yeah. We kind of, once we dump it on the transportation station floor, we wipe our hands of it and off it goes on its magical journey.
Yeah.
So
have you ever had ambitions to be the guy that takes it up to the big mound?
You know, I had a previous job where we had to dump at the landfill, and it was horrible.
Was it?
Just because of you get a lot of flat tires because everything there is soft. So wherever you drove, you couldn't see where you're driving, and all of a sudden you'd drive out and one of your tires would be off the rim because you ran over like a bunch of roofing nails or something like that. Really? And you got to watch where you step because you get out to, you know, flip the, you know, empty the, or turn the handles for the back to, I wish I could have showed you how we like empty the truck and stuff, but like you're walking around, there's times, you know, all of a sudden you look and you realize like, a hospital dumpster got dumped and there's just bags of like medical waste and stuff. So it's like, you always got to watch where you're stepping.
Hypodermic needles out there and everything.
Potentially. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Well, if it's a hospital dumpster, you know?
Well, that should all get like, technically it's medical waste. It should be in sharps containers and stuff, but that isn't always the case.
Yeah. That's not the deal. So they don't have roads out there on the trash mounds.
No, it's well, you're just basically driving on the old compacted trash that they then put a layer of kind of like mulch and ground up car seats. So that's the cover. Okay. So after every day, the landfill has to cover all the trash that was dropped there. So then they cover it with like material, like from residual, even some of the, like the recycling plants, some of the residual stuff that couldn't be found to be recyclable. that they can run that out and they'll use that as the cover over the actual trash to limit the odor and birds and whatnot. So yeah, it's definitely like you're just kind of driving on a mountain of trash and it's just packed down tight, but your truck's gonna sink into it slowly. And you just gotta watch. Why you gotta watch?
Basically on a quicksand of trash.
I mean, it's firm enough, but there's a couple times where you get like I've had like where it's like I don't know if I'm making it out of here today.
Really?
Just because of the rain and stuff.
Oh yeah,
rain,
man.
snow. Yeah, you're just Has
anyone ever gotten lost? You know, like it was sucked into it or something.
I don't think so. I had one time just because again, this thing slowly just kind of made as it's on the fly. So there's times where like the hill you drove up to get there and you're coming back down and all of a sudden you get in a slide and you're like, well, hopefully no one comes around this corner. Like,
you're just sliding down the thing at that point.
You're just mud. If it's raining, you're just driving in the big mud pit.
Wow.
So they try to keep it clean, but there's always an amount of,
when you're dealing with a bunch of trash, it's kind of like no man's land there.
Yeah.
What kind of birds frequent the landfill?
Surprisingly, a lot of eagles.
Eagles.
They're kind of like you get a lot of seagulls, and then for some reason there's just eagles. They love to eat the garbage, I guess.
They're scavengers.
Yes, more than people realize. It's not very majestic when like
just a bald eagle, like sitting on a mound of trash.
Yeah,
it's America, baby, right there.
Like a rotisserie chicken carcass. Like it's kind of like, oh, okay, that's not so but it's a ton of seagulls and they're mean. Like seagulls are no fun.
Yeah, right.
They're just a mean bird, but they're protected. So
seagulls?
Yeah. Seagulls are like a federally protected bird.
Yeah. That's all that always I mean, now that you say that, it makes sense because I've never heard of anyone say I'm gonna go seagull hunting.
Well, it'd kind of be like Jaws, where if you cut open a seagull, it'd probably just be like a license plate and I don't know what you get out of it meat wise.
No, I know that's probably true. Yeah, they those things do eat a lot of microplastics.
So,
they see
cigarette butts.
Yeah,
stuff like that. So
the that is kind of interesting because most people they throw stuff in the garbage and that's the last they think of it. So it's kind of interesting going through this whole process because like after a while, landfill, don't we have some in Wisconsin that are now skiing hills?
Yeah. That was so. Oh, you're talking about the Ridge?
Yeah, I think so.
So that one was actually an old. Specifically, it was an incinerator. So back when all like the local municipalities had incinerator, that's where it finally went. Like so, it was mainly just like a big ash pile.
Oh,
and then they covered it in dirt. So I don't know if there was actually just like solid waste, kind of like the landfills are now, but. Yeah, I remember when I was in Scouts, we tried climbing that thing, and that was before it was like, a nice. It was before it was like a nice property, and like there was like soup can lids and stuff. It was all just like
that was the Boy Scout trip. Hey, we're gonna go to the top of this trash pile.
Well, we wandered off and decided, that wasn't sanctioned.
I just like that you were somehow in the proximity of it.
Yeah,
and then no one was, You guys were just on a nature hike at that point.
Yeah.
That's fun. That is interesting though. Like when you see just the process of this thing, because then like there's the methane that comes off of it too, isn't that?
Yep.
Are there there's like is there a fire lit? Like kind of a pilot light?
Oh yeah.
Like on a furnace or something?
I forget what they're called, but it's like a burn off where it's like a certain amount of that methane will get burnt off and you can see it at night from like a ways away because it's like just looks like a big like candle torch. But and then I know there's a landfill or two that also utilizes some of the methane for I think it's Jones Island. Like
it powers it.
I think so, like to some degree, and it's the one out in Muskego. But they got it like piped all the way down to Jones Island. Yeah,
I mean that's a good thing to do with all of it too, because you got all that methane. It's just gonna you might as well use it as opposed because that's a pretty big issue with climate change is the methane. But then you use a methane digester. They have those at some farms, and then they got one out in Waterloo or Waterford. I forget which one is Crave Brothers. It's a cheese place, but it powers the cheese facility and then like the entire town around it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just off the methane from the cows. But this is sort of the same kind of deal right there.
And it's wild because when you go out there, you can smell that methane like about a mile and a half away. It's like incredible how much methane those like landfills will just throw off into the air.
Yeah. That's because that's just the food that a lot of food stuff and just anything just decomposing just kind of gives that off, I think.
Yeah.
Not really a science
aficionado
here, but that's the best I got for you on that.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool, man. What would you say to someone who's like considering getting into this line of work? What kind of person, I guess, do you think would be someone who would enjoy this sort of thing? If they're out there looking for some.
I think, and it's kind of just talking with some of the guys or some of the operators, men and women. We were, it's a Milwaukee, especially. It's a very, kind of diverse staff, but it's a lot of times it's someone who likes to move. There's a lot of exercise involved with the work. So if you can't sit still, it's the perfect job that by the end of the day you go home and you'll sit still.
Okay.
But no, it's kind of just, you got to, it helps to like kind of be, I think I work alongside a lot of people that take pride in their work because they work for their community. A lot of the DPW people live in the city of Milwaukee too. And, so it's like, you kind of, you gotta want to have like that interest. And you also have to just, the job takes a strong stomach. I've worked with a lot of people who, a week in, a month in, have just went, no, I've seen enough. If I never have to see another inside of a garbage can again in my life, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
So, you kind of have a strong constitution, if you will. And, also, just, you got to be ready for just kind of the grind. As it's just every day you're going to be working in all different types of weather, and you got to like the outside. It's not a desk job.
Yeah,
we don't get to work remote.
Sometimes you put a desk in the compactor.
Yeah, that's as close to a desk job as we get is when we got to throw away a desk. So
well, cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on, Derek.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and there's nothing that you wanted to bring up here that didn't get mentioned.
Just again, kind of hammering the idea because we this is a job that does get posted a fair amount. So if you think you want to give it a try, definitely go for it. I've worked alongside a lot of people that it's a rewarding job. We get great health insurance. The pay is good. We get a pension, which a lot of jobs you don't get a retirement anymore.
Right.
There's a lot of times people are focused on just the dollar amount, and you got to look at like, your vacation, your, all the other things that can weigh in. And that's something the city on the website mentions.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, sometimes I think that people, for a while, you look at what, a municipal worker makes and you go, I could make, another $5, $6, $10 an hour. But once you add in the other, the incentives and the health insurance and stuff like that, we're very competitive.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. I had a blast out there doing it with you today.
I'm really glad. Yeah.
I know we only did 2 blocks, but it seemed like a fun job to me.
Yeah.
So thanks for teaching me the ropes, and come back again.
Awesome, Charlie. Sounds good.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, folks, that is all the time we have for now. Make sure you check out milwaukee.gov/jobs if you're looking for a public works job in the city of Milwaukee or whatever place you're living in. Check out the local job listings. It's a great career if you can find it. And you can also find information on what can and cannot be recycled at milwaukeerecycles.com. Check it out. Thanks to all you guys for listening. Thanks to Hannah Milos for producing and editing this week's episode of the Cripescast. And we'll see you guys next week. Watch out for deer.
So roll out the barrel and get the band brewing. Life's got you down, just keep her moving. It's on Wisconsin, the Badgers say it's the old Wisconsin Jubilee.
You know, sometimes when you're ice fishing, you put your foot in the walleye hole and go ass over tea kettle and you think you're done. No, you gotta keep her moving.